Hello, I'm Chief Frank Bergen of the Hamilton Police Service. What an exciting opportunity to have a conversation about a difficult topic, and that's human trafficking. Human trafficking is something that I can tell you from generations of policing. I'm in my fourth decade. It was very different than what it might be today. It was not sophisticated. When I worked in downtown Toronto, we knew to go to the bus terminal. We knew to go to the fountain at the Eaton Centre because that's where runaways would go. The reality is today there's so much technology and so much grooming and expertise into making human trafficking really a tragedy for many young people. But the reality is an empowered person is a safe person, and let me explain that. When we talk about the role of police in the community, it's working with our community, and it's that partnership that makes us better. Be aware, understand what's going on. In many crime initiatives, we talk about if you see something, say something. That means if you're seeing a friend of yours, or if you're seeing a classmate suffering under some pressure or something they're not quite being able to handle, do something, reach out. Be that human that you are to make sure that you look after them. What I want to do is to make sure that we are a partner at the table. We may not have all the answers, but I want you to be comfortable, whether it's online reporting or just through a friend, making sure that we can be part of the solution. Together, stronger, safer.
She was 15 when she was first introduced to him, and she was standing at a bus stop and he just gave her his phone number, and then she had her own issues with her dad and his criminalization and his not being there, and she had all of those issues with her dad. And then she has me who's working my butt off to pay for my house and always busy because I'm a sole support, and so I remember when she's never really said this is what's happened to me. Never has she said that, but she'll just indirectly throw things out when I remember when she came back from the police station, and when she first disclosed and she said, "Mom, she said, you didn't do anything wrong. I just did really good at hiding it."
I have an MA in social justice and equity studies, and my research focused on the ways that pimps target, recruit, groom, and exploit Canadian girls and women in the sex trade and in trafficking. So the ways that pimps will do that is they will target vulnerabilities. They are very skilled at looking at a person and identifying what vulnerabilities they have, and then exploiting those vulnerabilities. And any young girl has a vulnerability to target and exploit, whether it's the need to feel like they belong somewhere, the desire to be loved, to feel accepted, to see the world, to see their dreams fulfilled. There's always something to exploit, sadly.
I got to see in my career different aspects of human trafficking. So in Vice and Drugs, I got to see the grooming part, the recruitment, the showering of gifts, feeding survivors, gifts, drugs, party drugs, and now all of a sudden this person's in debt. And it's oh shoot, how do I pay off this debt? Well, the human trafficker tells them this is what they have to do. They're coerced into it. Now they feel that, hey, I have to do this. And they go into fight or flight mode. Fight, flight, or freeze. So they're just in survival mode.
So after identifying the vulnerabilities, they will go through a process in which they try to isolate people. And isolation can happen in many different ways. There's the geographical isolation, where a pimp will actually take someone and not necessarily forcefully, not kidnapping, not like what we might see in some Hollywood glamorized movies of trafficking, but we'll say, hey, let's go away for the weekend to Niagara Falls or to Toronto or somewhere, and take them somewhere that they're not familiar with the location, with their surroundings. They don't have people that they know nearby.
The survivors are trafficked up and down the 401. They don't even know what city they're in because they're being fed drugs. They're driven up and down the 401. And truth be told, anybody who's driven on the 401 has seen human trafficking in progress. And it's been so prevalent. It goes from Windsor all the way up to Montreal.
Another form of isolation is relational. So the pimp or the trafficker might start saying things like, oh, your parents don't really know you like I know you, or your friends don't really care for you like I care for you, and start planting those seeds of doubt and driving wedges between the victim and their support system. And he'll just create this sense of dependence on himself. So once you have that isolation, you've promised a great future, you've sold this dream, then he'll start indicating or suggesting that sleeping with a few guys a night or working in a strip club or some other form of sexual services, it could only be for a short period of time, and say like, oh, you only need to do this for a little bit until we get this much money, or until we're able to buy this car, or until we're able to, put a down payment on this house. Yeah, it only needs to be for a short amount of time, and then she can do whatever she wants. But what she doesn't realize is that she's just being trapped long term.
I was trafficked at the age of 15. I went through all the grooming stages where for 2 months I was on top of the world. I found friends. They saw me. They fulfilled every hole that I had, that every insecurity. I went into school the next September thinking like, this is gonna be the best year of school of my life. I finally have friends. I fit in. I feel cool. I feel like I belong. I am confident. I haven't been confident in years. That's all been stolen from me. I'm this new person, and that's the hard point. We already, before our exploitation, we've lost ourselves. So who Michelle really was is no longer on the table for me then, because I'm this alter ego of Michelle. I have this extreme confidence, which I always deserved, but it was fed to me to be taken away on purpose. So I've already lost myself before it even began. And furthermore, when the trafficker is getting in your brain and saying to you, hey, police aren't gonna care about you. Hey, your parents are gonna be disappointed. When they blackmail, when they threaten, when they have all this information on you that they're gonna spew out there, like you're scared to be ostracized from your peers. That was what it was for myself. I had given my traffickers my parents' debit card, but I had not taken the money out myself. The bank had individuals on camera with license plates. The police weren't informed at the time. They didn't know what human trafficking was. They wanted to charge me in that situation. The moment I left that police station, what my traffickers were telling me was true. I went for help and they didn't believe me. They treated me like a criminal, and then I couldn't get the proper help. Now we have police departments with human trafficking units that their sole purpose is to go and help fight human trafficking and help victims out. That's what preventative measures do. That's what education and training does. That's why the more we can spread the word to the youth, to adults, to men, women, and our children, that's how we're gonna combat and eradicate this crime.
An empowered person
is a safe person.